Alright, today we're having a look at Back to Manglewood by Spaz 1084. Alright, so here we are in Back to Manglewood by Spaz 1084, and... Okay, I was afraid that we broke the level again. Been doing that a lot recently, breaking levels, getting lost. These are grabbable. I don't know if that's good or not. Hopefully that's not gonna cause us any trouble later on. Why is that making me slow down? I wonder, is that... My controller's been acting up an awful... I think that's my controller. I've been getting stick drift like you don't even want to know. And that's gonna be... could possibly be a little bit of a problem. Having ground be grabbable and having things that you need to grab also be grabbable is... oh, crumbs, we're stuck. We're stuck. Good. It's maybe not the best way to go. Possibly slap some materials tweakers on the ground. Make sure that players aren't grabbing the wrong thing when they shouldn't be. Ooh, this looks like it could be fun. I kind of fudge! That's me. I did that to myself. Oh, crumbs. Grabbing that is just a bit of a pain, but here we go. Whee! Hopefully there's not a thing that's gonna, like, kill us here. Maybe not. It's just gonna chill. Okay. Cool. Moving on. It's nice. It's active-ish. Not too much active in the environment itself, but the... Okay, that was me, but it was still kind of weird. Wasn't really expecting something to come out and kill us there. I do wonder, like, about all the spikes, because some of the spikes are in layers that we can't access, but it feels like we might run into them, which I don't know if we need it to present as a danger if it's not actually going to be dangerous. Okay. Okay. Wait, what happened here? I can't get back into the lair anymore? Well, and I can't get to the spikes to kill myself. That's... I got feelings about that. I'm not sure, like, how avoidable that was, but I'm wondering, like, maybe just this bit here doesn't need to be here if it's going to cause that kind of interaction. But it's got a little bit more action going on it than last week's, and also hopefully I won't mess it up like I did last week's. I still feel bad about that, but that is for another time to discuss. Got a little bit of simple gameplay, nothing too challenging, which is fine by me. Don't always need to have a, you have to kill the player at every turn type of level. Sometimes you can just have something that's got a pace to it, but is still... Oh, fudge! That's a timer. Well, as soon as we get off of this thing, we're gonna have to go back to the hub. But that was weird. So maybe I don't want to touch anything so that it doesn't get off track. Okay, I guess. But it does make it hard to get the point bubbles. And, well, hey, we're done. I did not expect that. I liked it, but it's got a few things that we're going to talk about. But we'll talk about it back at the hub, and we'll see you there. See yas! And we're back to Manglewood by Spaz 1084. Rather unfortunately named there, so we'll probably use S1084 for the rest of the outro. But I'd say it's a yellow square. It does definitely have some issues, but I found the level to be, for the most part, relatively enjoyable. Not particularly long, not too many block points or stopping points, and for the most part, a fairly decent pace throughout. Now, one of the things I did like about this level, while there's not very much motion in the presentation, motion in the environment, I did like the sets of colors. I liked the materials that were chosen. I liked, visually speaking, the way the materials were shaped. Those rounded edges, and you've got like the straight lines and the right angle curves. I think those all look cool together. They're kind of a mix of not purely organic shaping, like something that you would see in nature, but not purely inorganic as well, not like blocked off and gridded off. There's a nice, like, sweet spot in the middle there that I did, for the most part, really enjoy. That does, however, unfortunately lead to one of the negative points here, and it's the way that LBP treats gaps. Sometimes gaps in rounded materials, particularly rounded materials that are coming up on straight edge materials, because we got those like boxes in there, they're purely square rectangular boxes in there, and every now and then you can get yourself stuck in those gaps, and it just won't let you jump out, or you can only jump out with difficulty. And so there were a couple times in the level where I got myself stuck and I ended up having to pop myself to kill myself to get through it. There's not really a lot that could be done in this level about that issue, but it is something maybe to keep in mind when you're designing your own levels, just like how easy it can be to get the sack thing stuck in places like that, in tiny gaps like that. So do have a bit of a care. One other issue that I did find with the types of materials used, there's a lot of grabbable material in the level. Sometimes the ground areas, well, I mean, it's actually kind of treetops, but that we're running across, those are grabbable. For the most part, it's not a really big deal, but there is particularly one section where you've got to grab on this little rounded bit. It's going to winch you up to another section where there's going to be a rotating bit. Half of that rotating bit is grabbable, half of it is burning. And so you've got like two different grabbable materials really close together, and it's easy to accidentally grab on the winch bit instead of the spinny bit. And it doesn't really do anything, but it is a bit of a confusion there, and it throws a bit of a wrench into things. So maybe spacing out different types of grabbable materials so that you've got the player is just interacting with whatever element you want them to be interacting with, and not accidentally getting caught on something else. Just kind of like, how are we placing things and what distance are we putting in between things, so that there's I'm repeating myself, but so that there's not interactions where they're not necessary. One thing that I mentioned in the video, and it's the placement of spikes there is sometimes confusing, and if the spike is in a layer where it's going to hit you or not going to hit you is not always 100% clear. It's not a big issue, but it was something that was there, and it was something that got us killed every now and then. That one bit close to the section that I just talked about with the spinny bit, where you could kind of get thrown out of layer, but I wasn't able to replicate that, so that's, I guess, maybe not something to dock a point on. But if you don't want a player to be in an area, you could put a bit of invisible material in between the layers to make sure that they can't get thrown forward for reasons. But like I said, it's an almost unreplicable almost unreplicable problem, so maybe not worry about that too much. One thing I did find was a little bit more of an issue with particularly the last section, where you're grabbing onto that bit and you're sliding down, and the bit is swinging while you're going, and you've got a lot of point bubbles there to get it. And it's kind of just an issue with physics in LBP, where it's really hard to control where your sack thing is because of the swing of the bit that you're grabbing onto. It's like, it's a fun bit, and it makes the level feel a little bit quicker, but also makes it feel like you can't really get at those point bubbles. It's kind of a luck issue whether you're where you need to be. And when we did try to influence it a little bit by holding over that first time that we played through, and we pulled that slider right off the rail and into death. So I don't know that there's anything really you could do to change that section, besides just, like, I don't know, not having the point bubbles there, but then there's not really any point bubbles in the level, so I just feel like a little weird about that. And the level just kind of abruptly ends. Like, you slide right into the ending of the level. There's no real, like, cooldown period to the action. That's not always a bad thing, but it did feel really abrupt here. I feel like I'm being overly critical about the level and not really giving the impression that I enjoyed it, but I did, or else I wouldn't have given it a yellow square. But just like the level itself, I don't think there's a lot of changes that can be made. I do think it is enjoyable, but things to keep in mind, kind of like for future levels in creation. And I think that pretty much does it for us here. This go about. I had a fun time with this. S1084, thank you very much for the hard work on this one. Also played the Green Galleon. I had a lot of fun with that one as well. It's very different type of level, but an enjoyable level nonetheless, and a recent team pick, and mostly a deserved one, I would say. But that pretty much does it for us here this go about. So from me, Nisco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.